welcome to Saturday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where we've got something amazing for you today. The puzzle on the screen is called Topsy-Turvy, and it's by zetamath and Tallcat in a collaboration. Now, I wonder whether there has ever been a sort of duo with a higher IQ setting a single Sudoku puzzle. You guys are going to prove me wrong now by coming up with some suggestions, but it will be hard actually to come up with two cleverer people who have collaborated on a Sudoku puzzle. Just if you had a free choice of anybody. So I'm looking forward to trying this. It's got an enormous rating on Logic Masters Germany and quite an interesting rule set. It's sort of a variant on Between Lines and involves the concept of a doubler. And I will reveal what a doubler is in just a moment or two. I also really like the title because Topsy-Turvy is one of my favourite films. And it's not a very well-known film. It's sort of a British art house film about Gilbert and Sullivan and the D'Oyly Cart Company. And it takes me back to the days when I used to... things like Modern Major General are I was completely in love with the language of that song, and this will give me an opportunity to tell you about why why I'm teaming with news about, it's the binomial theorem he teams with news about. What was it? I understand. Oh no. I'm very well acquainted with matters mathematical. I understand equations both as simple and quadratical. About binomial theorem, I'm teeming with a lot of news, with many cheerful facts about the square of the hypotenuse. Probably no hypotenuses in this puzzle, but there might be all sorts of other things. I'm maybe very well acquainted with beings animalculous. And I understand something differential calculus. Oh no. Anyway, I can't remember it as you're seeing, but I do like it very much. And now, what do I have to tell you about? Not much today. I do have a birthday announcement, though. I would like to wish a very happy birthday to Chris. And we had a lovely email, Chris, from your wife, Nina, hearing about how you've both sort of... you I know, Chris, you watch it for the puzzle content, and I think you watch it almost every night, which is absolutely amazing. Whereas Nina sort of hears the music and knows it's time to go to sleep, which is fine. We don't mind if people use our videos to go to sleep. It wasn't exactly what they were designed for, but we understand that is actually a thing. But anyway, the two of you obviously enjoy the channel, and we hope that, Chris, you have an absolutely brilliant birthday today with loads of cake. Other than that, no. There's a few things going on around the channel, but I'm sure you know what they are already. We've got Domino Sudoku out on all platforms. It's really good. Get that. We've got this new Patreon reward for August on Patreon. That's really good, and it's quite easy. So do have a look at that. And of course, we are closing in on 500,000 subscribers, which is a number so ludicrous. I cannot tell you. And we have a few ideas about how we're going to celebrate that, including a free app. But please help us get there. If you enjoy the content and you're not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button, and we would be most grateful indeed. Now, what are the rules of Topsy-Turvy? Let me read them to you. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Digits on a between line, which may include repeats, must be strictly between the values in the circles on the ends of that line. So let's pick a line. That's got two. Let's pick this one. So if we put 2 in there and 7 in there, then these three cells have to be between 2 and 7. They could be made up, therefore, of 3s, 4s, 5s, and 6s. So we have to make sure the numbers on the line are between the sort of boundaries that we put in the circles on the ends of the lines. That's how between lines work. However, there is another rule here which is going to complicate matters. Here is the other rule. 9 cells in the grid are doublers, 1 in each row, column, and 3x3 box. For the purposes of the between lines, digits on doublers count as double their value. Each digit from 1 to 9 appears on a doubler exactly once. So, I think that means that if that cell was a doubler and we make it a 3, hang on, how should we signify doublers? We'll make it red. There we go. This is a doubler. Then that really counts as 6. Therefore, and that cell could be a doubler as well. That's on the between line. So we'll make that cell a 2. So that counts as 4. So now in order for this 4 to be bounded by this 6, that's going to have to be a number that's going to be... so it couldn't be 2 by Sudoku, otherwise it could be a 2. It could be a 1 or a 3. So we could have a between line with a 3 at both ends of it, I reckon. I don't think there's anything wrong with that if I've understood the rules correctly, because this 3 counts as 3 for the purposes of the line, that 3 counts as 6 for the purposes of the line, and that 2 counts as 4, which does lie between 3 and 6. So you can see why this could be complicated. But do have a go. Oh, by the way, I don't know how difficult this is. It's probably hard. Zetamath and Tallcat together. My goodness me, that is some brain power that has been applied for our delectation. Anyway, so the way to play is click the link under the video. But now I get to play. Let's get cracking. And the only thing I'm slightly... Well, what are the only things I know about between lines? On normal between lines, you can't put 1s and 9s on the lines. So this top row looks weird. Because if you do, if we imagine that there was no doubler rule, how would we, once we put 1 in the top row, which we must do because of the rules of Sudoku, that means we need a number below 1 in one of the circles, and there are no Sudoku numbers below 1. Similarly, if that was a 9, then we need a 10 or higher in one of the edge cells, and that won't work. So something very strange is going on in the top row. Right, okay, we can deal with a 9. There must be a 9 in the top row, and we can deal with the 9 by putting a doubler in one of the ends. So if one of the ends was, say, even a double 5, if this was a 5 but it was doubled, then it would bound the 9. But we've still got the problem with the 1. So the 1 has to... Right, the 1 in the top row has to be doubled. Because if we double it, it counts as 2, and then I can put a 1 on the edge and bound the 1. Obviously, I can... This particular configuration of 1s is awful because it puts 1s in the same box, and that won't be right. But there's definitely interest in this top row. So there must be a doubled 1 in the top row. There must be a 1 in one of those. Ah, right, so this is sort of a pair. These two cells are a pair of 1. One of them is a 1 to bound the 1 in the top row, and one of them is a doubled 5 at least in order to bound the 9 that must appear in the top row. So one of those is a doubler, and one of them is a natural 1. Now, what does that mean? I don't know, but it looks like the bottom row is also very difficult, doesn't it? Because that's got to have one of the troubling digits on it. Ah, and it can't... Right, I understand, right. The bottom row, can we put 1 in any of those cells? And I think the answer must be no. Because if we do, we have no escape valve now. Because the 1 has already been doubled in the top row, and it's only allowed to be doubled once, because every digit, I'm just checking the instructions, each digit from 1 to 9 appears on a doubler exactly once. So we can't double the 1 again in the bottom row, so if we put it on the line, we would have to put 0 in the edges. So we can't put it on the line, which means there's a 1 in the corner, which doesn't get a song, not even a major general song. I know the scientific names of beings animalculous. Oh no, hang on. Yeah, no, I'm very well acquainted with integral and differential calculus or something. I can't remember. Now, that therefore is not the one, which means this is the one in the second row in the circle that we know we need a 1 in, and therefore that cell has become a doubler. This is our doubling cell. We found our first doubler, but I want to just come back to the bottom row actually, because I've got to put a 9 in the bottom row. Yeah, so that's a doubler. Because I've got to put a 9 in the bottom row, and I've got to bound the 9, this one of these cells has to be higher than 9. The only way to make something higher than 9 is to double it, and I can't put 2 doublers in the same column. So that's got to be a doubler, and therefore that's at least a 5. This is, I tell you what I really admire about a puzzle like this. It takes a rule that we're sort of familiar with. If you've done between lines before, you'll be fairly familiar with it, and it just blows it out of the water. It's probably why it's called Topsy-Turvy. And all the logic feels new, doesn't it? It's very, very clever. Yeah, so now... Oh, no, I've broken the puzzle. Oh, no, I haven't. I've just realised how I don't break the puzzle. I was going to say, what do we do with the 2 in the bottom row? And I was going to say, well, that means I have to put a 1 here, which I realised I couldn't do. So how do we get out of that conundrum? And the answer must be that in the bottom row, there is a doubled 2. Which means that that's a 2 because there's got to be a 3 in the bottom row that can't be doubled because the 2's doubled in the bottom row. So the 3 is a natural 3 and must be bounded by one of these on the low side, which can't be the doubled, so it must be that one. That's a 2. This is just so, it's almost comedic because it's so clever. It's very, very cool. So now I've got 2 doublers, and I've got 2. Right, I also know. Oh, I see. Right, okay. I see. I think what I should do actually is to start to try and keep track of where I've used my doublers, because I think in the top row there must be a doubler in one of those 3 cells, because we can't put the 1 in these 3 cells because we know the 1 is doubled and we've already got the doubler in box 3. So I'm going to do that. Okay, so we're going to wipe out every cell that can't be a doubler. We can basically use Sudoku with our red digits. Look, that column is wiped out. Might be able to do better than that. Let's just make those green for a moment. So all of these cells are not doublers, but in the top row we know there's a 1 that's doubled that can't be there. So there's one of these cells is a doubler and it's a 1, which means those cells aren't doubled. So there's a doubler in one of these 2 cells, which is on a line. So that digit, which is a natural digit, is going to have to be a mighty digit. And in the bottom row, we know the 2 needs to be doubled to stop to give us the opportunity to not break this between line. So the 2 is not there, which means there's a double in one of those, which means there's a double in one of these, which is a 2, which means these are not doublers. And then what do we do? I haven't got a clue. I just want to think about this for a second though, because this... Well, no, that's fine, actually, isn't it? It's not 2. This doesn't have to be too mighty. If that's a 2... Oh, no, it can't be a 2 that's doubled, because we've already doubled a 2. Oh, right, okay. No, so this is at least a 3 that's doubled. So this is at least a 6. No, it's got to bound the 6. Ah, yeah, okay. So there's a... Imagine there was a 3 in here that was doubled. That would have the value of 6. So this has to be higher than 6. So that's got to be at least 7. Which is possibly interesting. One. Okay, Sudoku. I can place 1, I think, in box 3. because 1 is in one of those two by Sudoku, but if it's on the line, then it's a normal one, because this is the one that's doubled, and we can't double another one, so this one would have to have a digit lower than it in a circle, which is impossible. So I think that's a 1. Oh, this is gonna do the same. How can these two cells be 1s when they've got natural greennesses in their circles? They can't, because we can't do natural greennesses that are less than 1. So that's a 1, I think. So now, can I put 1 on these? No, I can't put 1 on these two either. So 1 in box 4 can't go there? No, it can't. It simply cannot go there. I'm sort of questioning myself here, but I just don't think it can. So that's got to be a 1. Oh, I see, but then, okay, so the circles are very happy to have 1s in them, so this one can be a 1. Oh, but where does 1 go in box 5? Can't go there, because it can't be bounded, and it can't go there, because it can't be bounded, so it goes there, which means that cell is now green, because it can't be a 1 anymore. So 1 in box 8. That's less good. There's less lines, isn't there? Oh, well, you can't make that one a 1. Because if that was a 1, what on earth are we putting in the line there? We'd have to put like 1.25 and 1.75, and that feels like it's not going to work. So 1 could... I think 1 has to be on a none-line cell, but unfortunately there are 3 of those. So we've placed, I see, we've placed 6 1s, and we have 3 left. Now, can we do the same with 2s then? Can we put 2 on the line here? No, because no, we can't. That would have to be a 1, and it can't be. So 2 is in one of those 2 cells. Okay, where does 2 go in box 6? Now, the interesting questions there are, can you put 2s on these lines? I don't think you can, because that means we're going to have to put 1 in one of those, which we can't, or 1 in one of these, which we can't, because we've got 1s looking at both end points. So that, I think, makes this a 2, which means I've got to put a 2 on the line in this box. Oh, but that's fine, because this is a natural 2, and it is bounded by a natural 1. Okay, so that sort of works. Now, but none of these digits can be doublers, because they're 1s and 2s, and we know the doubling 1s and 2s are in these boxes. So, can I actually put 2 on a line in box 5? That must be the question. So if that was a 2, this would have to be a 1, which it can't be, so that's not a 2. If that's a 2, one of those has to be a 1, which it can't be. So there's definitely, the 2 would have to be one of these 3, but I bet it can't be here. No, it can be there. Right, okay, that's a bit annoying, actually, because that one can be a 2, but that one is one of the few circles that can still be a 1, so we can't rule that out. That obviously can't be ruled out. What about this one? That one can't be a 2, because you can't put 1 in either of the circles. So that is not a 2. So the 2 is in one of 2 places in box 5, which means it's in one of 3 places in box 4, except it can't be on the line because neither of these can be a 1. So this is a 2. Okay, and I can put 2s on the lines in box 1 because I have a 1 bounding them. What about... Oh dear. Okay, so we're now reaching a bit of an impasse, aren't we? What other digit? I haven't got any other digits. I can't do anything with any other digits. So I must have to think about... well, I want to say 9s because I've looked at 1s and 2s, and 9s are the only other restricted digit. But where can I think about 9s then? In this row, where does the 9 go? No, you can't put the 9 here because it's too close to this in terms of value. If that's a 9 and that's a 7, say, I'd have to put 3 8s along there, and that won't work. So that's not 9. You can't put 9 on the line because it can't be bounded. Oh, I see, that can be a 9, can it? Oh, this is very difficult. I think that can be a 9. Because, of course, this one is going to be a mighty digit. We know that that's mighty because it's got to deal with the 9 in the top row. So why couldn't it deal with a second 9 there? Oh, okay. So that's annoying. Okay, but what about 9 in row 4 then? Let's look at 9 in row 4. That's easier. Because you can't put 9. These are all natural circles. So they simply cannot accommodate a 9 on a line. So that gets us the 9 here, which means that's not a 9, look. So now perhaps 9 in this row. These can't be 9s by Sudoku. That can't be a 9 because these circles are natural. Oh, I see, this could be a 9, could it? That might be able to be a 9. These two can't be 9s. So the 9 in row 6 is in one of two places. And it can be here because this is obviously a massive digit as well. Why do we make that a massive digit? Oh, that's to deal with the 9 in the bottom row. Okay. Okay. So where do we look next? This. We know that this. I suppose I know that the doubled digit here is quite a small digit, isn't it? It can't be. It can't even be a 5, because if whatever's on this line that's doubled, if it was 5, that would need to be 10. So there is a 3 or a 4 that's doubled here. So, yeah, so isn't it the same logic for these 6 cells? These 6 cells are well, in this row, we have not yet identified the doubler. So the doubler is sitting on a line in row 4. But every circle bounding the lines that appear in box 4 is a green. So once we've doubled whatever it is we're doubling in row 3, in row 4, it's got to stay below 9. So it must be a 3 or a 4. So there's a sort of 3-4 pair. There's a doubler 3-4 pair in those 8 cells. Now that must matter somehow. Yes. Okay. So how would it be possible for that cell to be a doubler then? It wouldn't be possible, would it? Because there's a 3 or a 4 in those cells. There's a 3 or a 4 in those cells. That uses up the double 3 and the double 4. So if this was on the line, it would have to be at least a double 5, and that's going to break that cell. So that's not a doubler. That is really clever. So this is a doubler, and that doesn't, well, that means, this is right, this is perfect. This is absolutely perfect, because now, where is the doubler in this box? Now, if this was a doubler, again, those are 2 green ends. So this couldn't be a doubler because it can't be 3 or 4. So that must be a doubler, and that is therefore the doubler in row 4. So all of these turn green, I think. And that is a 3 or a 4. That one can be anything that's not 1, 2, 3 or 4. So that is 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9. He says, desperately thinking about whether that's limitable or not. I don't think it is. So now what do we know? Oh, I see. I see how to do this. Right, okay. Now just look at row 6 and say, where is the doubler in row 6? And it can't be on a line, because if it's on a line and it's doubled, it's going to break the circles, because it can't be 3 or 4 anymore. This is so clever. This is so clever. I mean, I shouldn't have expected anything less. That seems to force that to be a 2, which is now on a circle, is on a real line with real circles. So that's got to be a 1 to deal with that, because the other side, this can't be a 1. That seems to place a 2 here. So now I've got lots of... still no, I haven't quite done it. This cell can't be a 2 anymore because by Sudoku. Oh, and this... this is lovely. Right, so now this cell can't be... it can't be a doubler. That's the best way of describing it. It can't be a doubler because we've already got the doubler in column 5. So all of those cells must be green, which means this can't be the 2 in the bottom row. Therefore, that is the only cell left that can be the doubler in the bottom row. Now that can't be a doubler in the top row, and therefore that can't be a 1, which means this is a 1. And well, now there's a doubler in one of these, which looks strange. Oh no, I understand this. Right, okay. So which one of these is the doubler? Now, it can't be this one. My phone is buzzing. Okay. If this was the doubled cell, then we know, because it's got to be at least 5, we'd have this line would contain 2 enormous digits in its edges, and we'd have to put double digits down these cells to make the between lines rules work, and we can't do that. So that's got to be green, that's got to be a doubler, that's got to be green, and that has got to be a doubler. And I'm doing a quick count, and I have got 9 doubler cells identified, and we know that one's a 3 or a 4 because it's got to be the same nature as this one. So these cells have got to be high digits, and we know that. What do we know? We know that one's on a line. So that can't... Right, that can't be 9. Because if that's 9, there is no way to bound it, even doubling this digit. If that's double 9, that's 18, and I can't make this bigger. So that can't be 5. Same logic. If this is 5, this will be bigger than it, and the between line won't work. So there's a sort of weird thermo relationship between these two cells, where that one's the sort of bulb, and that one's the tip. Right, and now I have not got a clue where to look next. Where should we... We've got... Hang on a minute, let me just think about this. Well, okay, Sudoku maybe then. Where does 9 go in this box? Now, I don't... Well, it can't go here, that's for sure, because this can't be a 10. Now, if it went here, this line... Well, these two cells would have no natural fill, because we'd be looking for digits between 9 and, say, 12. So these would have to be like 10s and 11s, which won't work. So 9 is in one of those two cells. Now, can 9 be on this line? And the bizarre thing about that is it can be, can't it? Because this is going to be lower than this. So that's going to bound the 9 on the small side, and this is going to be bigger than 9 on the high side, so that can be 9. What about that? Can't be 9. So 9. Okay, so 9's got a few positions in the middle box. What about, 2, I've just noticed, is in one of 2 places in box 2. Okay, so where does 2 go in box 1 now? Why wasn't that, was that not available before? Maybe, I know why it might not have been. If I didn't know where this went, I could have put 2 on the line, couldn't I? So now, look at this, I've got an X-wing of 2s, or the simple way of thinking about this is to ask where 2 goes in row 3. It can't go in those 6 cells anymore, so it's going to have to go here. And that was one of the cells that I thought 9 could go on in row 3. I remember that because I got concerned. So now, 9... okay, so where is 9 in row 3? It's not there. It's not here because that's too close to 7. It can't be on a line because this line's got natural ends, so 9 is in a circle. Now, if 9 was in this circle... I see, then that would bound this digit, whatever it was, and that would have to be a low digit. Hang on. Oh no, this is simple. This is simple and so elegant. Right. Okay, so the simple question now is where does 3... Well, no, it's not that. The simple question is what is the nature of 3? What is the nature of 3 in row 4 of this puzzle? Now, if 3 is a green digit, that means it counts as 3 on its line, which means one of its ends must be a 1 or a 2, but we've got a 1 or a 2 here, looking at all 4 circles that come into row 4. So it cannot be a natural 3, which means it must be the double digit, which means it must be that. So that's a 3, that's a 4. 4 must be bounded by 9 on the high side, so that's the 9. Which means that's a lower digit. But that can be 3 again now. This counts as 6. So I've got to put a 4 in this row, don't I? So there must be... There's a natural 4 in this row. So there must be a natural 3 in one of those 3 cells. But there are we've only got 1 3 in the grid, so that's annoying. Oh, can that be a 3? No, that can't be a 3, because if that was a 3, you'd need to put 1 or 2 in one of those cells, neither of which can have it. So there's a 3 in one of these 3 cells, and a 3 in one of those cells. Can that be a 1 or a 2? No, that can't be a 1 or a 2, so that can't be a 3 on its line, so that's a 3. Which is the most annoying digit in a way, because obviously it's so low, it's not putting any pressure on this cell. So, oh dear, okay. Oh, that can't be 9 anymore. Oh, that's good, that's very good. Okay, so now I want to ask where 9 goes in row 6. But it's not in those cells. It can't be on a line with natural ends, and it's not there, so it goes there. So there's a 9 in one of these 2 cells. That's not 9 either. I'm getting rid of a lot of 9s from... Yes, I've got rid of enough 9s from the red cells. I've got rid of all 9s from the red cells apart from that one, so that's got to be a 9. 9. 9 can go on the line up there, can't it? Because it will be bounded by double 5 even in this cell. But 9 can go on this one because that will bound it even with double 6. Okay, so 9. Oh, bobbins, no, it doesn't work. 9s don't work. 9s don't work. Okay. No. The 9s don't work, they just make you worse. And now I'll see your face again. Oh dear. Okay, so where do we go now? I don't know. How can I have had... I've had 35 minutes looking at this. That has flown by. I think that is my barometer for a good puzzle, is how lost you get in it, how quickly time flows. Okay. So those digits then are middly digits, aren't they? Oh, you can't put 8. Ah, no, nearly. Right, I thought maybe I could get 8 in row 6, but I can't. These digits have to be... They can't include 8. That's the real point, I think. Because if you put 8 on them, you'd have to put a 9 in a circle, and there's this 9 here is ruling that out. So these digits are very middly. There is an 8 in one of those two cells, and these two cells have to allow enough room to cater for 3 middly digits in them. Okay, and they can't put 1s or 2s into the circles. So what are the options here? That digit can't be a 3 because it's already seeing 3 on its line. Right, so this digit is 4, 5. If that's a 5, what on... No, it's not a 5. It's not a 5, because what do I put in this cell that will bound these digits? If that's a 5, these could only be selected from 6 and 7, and they will repeat, so that's not 5. If that's a 6, these are only selectable from 4 and 5, and that will lead to a repeat. If this is a 7, they'd have to be 7. These would have to be 4, 5, and 6. And this would have to be 7, 4, 5, 6. So this has to be 3. I'm just trying to see why that's broken. It might not be. If this is 4, that would have to be 5, 6, 7, and this would have to be 8. What about if this was 8, though? If this was 8, then this could be anything, actually. Well, not anything, but this could then be 4. Because if that was 8 and that was 5, 6, 7, that could be 4. And this can't be 9. So, well, these are a little bit restricted, but maybe not restricted enough. Ah, okay, got it. Right, so that can't be 8. Because if this is 8, where are you putting 8 in this box? It's not, it can't, if this is 8, you can't seem to put it on this line. You can't put it there, so it has to go there. But that means I've got to put 9 in one of those circles, and neither of those circles can be a 9. So that is not an 8. That is a 3 or a 4, which means this cell can't be a 4. So this is a 7 or an 8. And that presumably matters somehow, some way, he says, trying to work out why. Oh, it's beautiful. It's just so beautiful. Right, okay, that's not a 4. Because if that's a 4, where am I putting 4 in row 6? And the answer is nowhere then, because 4 couldn't go here and it couldn't go on its own between line. Isn't that's so lovely? So this is 3. Which means one of those two cells is a 3. Now, does that mean anything about the value of this? If that's a 7, this is 4, 5, and 6, which makes that an 8, and that a 7. And it's all getting quite complicated. I don't think that's broken, is it? If that's 8, then there's a free choice. No, well, if that's 8, that becomes 8. That would rule an 8 out from here. Okay. So it's all getting tricky. Okay. But what I've not done yet is to look at the row 4 shenanigans that zetamath and Tallcat have developed, because I've got similar things going on here. I've got sort of strings of digits that have to be catered for, and restrictions already applying on the circles. So let's check these out. Now this is a high digit, so that's got to be a reasonably low digit. If this was 876, this would have to be 5 at a maximum. So this is 3 or 5. Because it already sees 1, 2, and 4. So that digit is really restricted. Sorry, I should have focused on this before. I just didn't spot it. Now, if that's 5, that is 6, 7, 8. Oh, this is... I was thinking... I was trying to work out what this meant. It's a double 3, isn't it? So it is a 6 in the world of doublers. So, but that's not clashing with the natural 6 in the row. So if that's 3, I've got to cater for... There's going to be a 4, isn't there, in this row somewhere? And the 4 will have to be bounded by a 3 in a circle. So if the 4 is in one of these places... well, that will need to be a 3. So the 3 is now down to 2 positions in this row. I just struggle to believe that this is really... Is this actually really restricted? What's that digit then? So that digit has an awful lot of options. 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8, I think. Oh, not 4, actually, because of this. Okay, maybe this is it then. So if that is... Oh, I tell you what it can't be. It can't be a 6. And the reason it can't be a 6... In fact, I've just realised it can't be an 8 either. This can't be a 6 because it will have the same value as the doubler cell, so it's not 6. Now, it can't be 8 because then I couldn't put 8 in this box. If that's 8, it rules 8 out from there. You can't put 8 on the line. So that's 5 or 7. 5 seems very unlikely. Yeah, whatever that digit is goes on this line, which unfortunately is not helpful. If that was a 7, it would be helpful, because that would force that to be an 8. But if it's a 5, I don't think it's as helpful. Okay, but this is probably the cell we have to check. So that could be a 3. If it's not a 3, it can't be a 5 now, can it? Because that would mean all of these digits have to be 6. And although we could put a 6 along with our unnatural 6, the next digit could not work, because we cannot have the sign of a devil in a Sudoku and have 666 along there, not even with a double 3 6. So that's not 5. Is it 6? If it's 6, no, it's too close. Whether this is 5 or 7, there's no digits that could go in there, so it's not 6. If it's 7, this is 5, and I've got the 666 problem, so it's not 7. So it's only got 3 or 8 as possibilities. That is remarkably restricted, therefore. Oh, I've done it. It's not 8. It's not 8, because if it's 8, this line is broken. That's why they've put this in. That is why I'd love to know that. They might well watch the video. Is that why you put this tiny little arrow in, to rule 8 out of that cell without breaking any of the other beautiful logic? I bet you it is. So that's got to be a 3, which means that's not a 3. This is so strange to see 2 3s on a line. That's now not a 5, because these would all have to be 4. Well, no, in fact, it's got to bound the 6, hasn't it? So it's got to be 7 now. Therefore, that's not 7, I'm noticing. This 3 means that's a 5. Oh, this is it. 9 and 5 bounding these cells, so they've got to be 6, 7 and 8. Which means we now know what those cells are. They're 4 and 5, which, let's just double check. That is, yes, so 4 and 5 are bound by 3 and 7, so that's good. Oh yeah, and remember what I said about 7? 7 now, by Sudoku, is on this line, which means not only that is not a 7, but there needs to be an 8 in a bounding cell, so that's got to be 8. That's not 8. Where does 8 go? In row 6, it's now got to go here. That's not 8 anymore. What are these 3 digits there for? They're 4s, 5s and 6s. Don't think I can do anything with that. We could... Do I know... So I know this is 5, 6 or 7, so I know there's a 4 on this line, but now this line is basically happy. It's fulfilled its roles in life, and it's done a good job. So, what do we do next? 4 I can just... Oh, I was worried that that's been sitting there for ages. It's not been sitting there for ages. It's been sitting there ever since I got the 6, 7, 8 triple, so I can place 4 in this box. So, oh no, I can't place 4 quite in box number 5. That's not 4. Whoops. That's 4 in the corner. No song for you. Because I've now got a 5, 6 pair in column 9. Okay. So what's that digit then? That digit is 5, 6, 7 or 8. And that is the low digit. Ah, okay, that's the low digit on this line. So that digit has to be higher than this digit. So that digit has to be 6 or 7, I think. Let me just double check this. Yeah, that's a massive digit. That's a double digit number once adjusted. And that's got to be bigger than this. And that can't be 8 anymore, because then that's impossible. So this is 5, 6 or 7. And I see, yeah, that allows, because this was the thermo, wasn't it, that we identified. But there's also a thermo between these 2 cells, where this has to be lower than this. So I think that has to be not 7 or 8 anymore. And that gives us a 5, 6 pair in row 5. Good grief, so that's a 7. And if that's a 7, that's got to be 8, because it's got to be bigger once doubled, which means... Does that mean I know this one? No. No, I don't, do I? Because this has no natural value. Okay. But I've got a 6, 8 pair here. So that's become a 5. Oh, and this has become a 7, which takes 7 out of that cell. That cell's become a 6. That cell's become a 5. Oh, I see. And now I've almost done all my doublers, so that's got to be a 6. So this is some sort of 4, 5, 7 triplage. I've got a 4, 5 pair here, so those digits are 3s. Oh, well, this cell's a naked single, because it can't be 8 or 9, so it's got to be 3. And those 2 squares have got to be an 8, 9 pair, which might matter. 3 has to be in one of 2 cells down here. which might be important as well. And for our next trick, we will argue about the nature of... don't know. What about... oh, if that's a 5, do I know what this is? No. No, I don't. It still doesn't tell us. Oh, good grief. I've got no clue what I'm doing now. I sort of thought I was in good shape, but it's turned out that I'm not at all. Okay. So where do we think there's going to be a weakness we can exploit in the puzzle? See, that digit is not weak. That can be 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, it can't be 4 or 5. Actually, I maligned it. It's got to be 6, 7 or 8. Can't be 4, 5 because there's this funny pair looking at this. Oh, maybe that cell's where I'm meant to look then. Yeah. Okay, what is this cell from a Sudoku perspective? It's not 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 or 8 or 9. That's 6 or 7. So it's the high digit, unsurprisingly, with a 2. So this digit, these two digits have to be below 7. So they've got to be 4s, 5s and 6s. Oh no, I've got a 6, 7 pair in this row. So that digit is a 4 or a 5. I feel like I'm getting loads of 4s and 5s. That digit's a 4 or a 5. Okay, that's good. What have we got to place in column 1s? 3, 6s and 7s. Let's put those in. And take another stare at the world and see if we can work out what's going on. What is... thing is, I just don't have a good feel for where I should be looking here. I sort of feel... oh, I suppose... no, see, this line here is not... well, although I do know what those digits are. They're a 6-8 pair, aren't they? Just by Sudoku. So I have got a 6-8 pair in this column. It's not very clear, though, how this is going to resolve itself. Maybe, almost certainly it will be a Sudoku thing. I've got 7 2s in the grid and this little X-wing of 2s left. What about 3s? I've not done many 3s. So that should be resolvable somehow, should it? Perhaps. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Genuinely, I'm suddenly hitting a brick wall here. It's most upsetting. There's probably more trickery they've hidden in this. Let me think, what could that be? I've got 10 in this cell, but that really isn't a problem because everything on this line will obviously, being green, be lower than 10. I've got 6, 7, 8 here. That seems fairly unrestricted. I know there's a 7 in one of those squares. Oh, no, the bottom row looks... oh, 8, look, is nearly interesting. It's got to go in one of 2 places. That's not good enough. 9s? Can we do more with 9s somehow? Don't think so. Prepared to believe I'm wrong about that, but I don't see how to do more with 9s. 5s. Look, there's a 5 in one of those 2 positions. It's going to be Sudoku, isn't it? There's a 4 in one of these 2 positions. There's a... hang on, look. There's a 4-5 pair down here that I hadn't spotted. So hopefully that will do it. So now, in this column, there's a 3-9 pair at the top. Is that resolved by something? Apparently not. But now I get a 3. Ah, that's 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spotlight, losing its religion down here. That's a 3 now. So this has got to be a 1. Okay, so it was Sudoku that I was underwhelming everybody with. Oh, it was the ones I hadn't got, look. I could have got this one a while ago, but I did it the complicated way. Never mind, now I can get 9 in this box. Now I can get 9 and 8 in this box. So now I'm excited. Oh, look, I can get this done. 6, 8, 6, 8. Has that done it? Have we done the puzzle now? Maybe not. So where does 6 go in this column? This 6 here, forces it to go there. That means that this is now a 4-5 pair in box 9, which means the rest of these boxes are 6, 7s and 8s. And that's not 8, look. Okay, so these squares are 4s, 5s and 7s. That square is not a 6 anymore. In fact, that's a 7. Ah, look, there's a 7-8 pair at the top of this column, which means that can't be a 5, which means that's got to be a 5, that's got to be a 2, that's got to be a 4, that's got to be a 2, using a pencil marking of all things. This cell is now 6 or 7, I want to say. And no, it's still not. Come on, reveal your secrets. Ah, this 6 is giving me a 7 here. 7, 6, 7, 7, 8. What about those digits then? They're 6 and 9, so they're resolved. That gives us the 6 here. 7, 8 pair there. Come on, come on, come on. 4, 5 pair here, so that's a 7. I might have to colour my 4s and 5s. That might be something we've got to think about at some point. 7s and 8s here. That's an 8-9 pair, which is resolved. That's a 9-3 pair. That's a 3. That's a 6. And we've just got to figure out these 4s and 5s. And perhaps, 7s here. Right, so what have I not done with my 4s and 5s? Hopefully Sudoku. Ooh, hang on. Hang on, have I broken? No, this 4 is doing it. That's good. So I shouldn't now need colouring, he says. No, I don't. That is so clever. What a superb puzzle. I mean, I'm not surprised. It's just magnificent. Just magnificent from two immense, well, giants of the Sudoku world. Loved that from start to finish. It is a beautiful puzzle executed with such skill and cunning that we should all basically, well, we should ask them to take a bow before we genuflect before them appropriately. So I loved that. I hope you did too. Let me know in the comments, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.